Hey, beautiful people, it's your girl, April Sampé, back with another episode of Veg Out Live, where we dive deep into your lifestyle. Today, we'll be talking to a woman who believes that love and soul are the backbone to every vegan lifestyle. I'm talking about Jessica Carter. Honey, listen, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you, but before I do, have you tried V Plus Hemp yet?
A fresh start to your day with V-Hemp Natural Energy Drink. No jitters, no crash, just pure natural energy.
Five fruits, five vegetables, five vitamins, and 20 milligrams of that good CBD oil. Everything your body needs to feel oh so amazing. So listen, visit drinkthehemp.com and use promo code VEGOUT and get 5% off of your entire order and free shipping. You're welcome, America. Come on, y'all. Let's go meet Jessica. I am here with Miss Jessica Carter, honey, Miss Love Vegan Soul, who is doing big things in the vegan community, who is doing big things on YouTube, big things on IG. And I just want to know, how are you getting through this pandemic?
It's been very interesting. I will definitely say at the beginning, it was really tough. It was super surreal, just being isolated all the time. But now it's getting to the point where like, it's kind of normal to me, like being in the house all the time. And it's like a big ordeal when it's time to leave the house. And so it's like, am I ready? Do I have what I need? But all in all, I think I'm doing well. I've definitely hit some rough patches there, but I've also been like motivated to take action and take care of some things in my space that I had been putting off for a long time because there was nothing else to do and nowhere else to go.
Who are you outside of being a vegan?
I'm someone who, appreciates the simple things in life. But I'm also a very creative person. I've always appreciated the arts. I've appreciated music and culture and all those things. I've loved to immerse myself in those things and travel also, just experiencing different cultures. That's always been something I love. And for a lot of years, I was someone who was so drawn to the arts and creative things, but like, I felt like I didn't have, a talent or a skill set. So like I grew up singing in the choir when I was younger, but I could not sing. I'm not a soloist. I could draw and doodle, but I was not like, ever a really great drawer or painter or anything like that. And so I felt kind of frustrated because I felt like, creative spaces were where I wanted to be and do my work. And about 10 years ago, around 2010, before I even went vegan, I started to realize that cooking could be my, creative outlet. I love preparing food for people, making people happy, bringing them together. But I always also love to experiment and see what I can create out of, very simple ingredients. And so for me, that's developed into my art form over time. And I feel like, a more whole version of myself because I have this creative outlet to express myself through. And I'm also someone who gets a lot of fulfillment from, seeking my higher purpose in life and doing work that benefits, a greater cause. And so, I've worked in higher education before I ever started working in vegan spaces as well. And, helping people who are low income and first generation have the resources that they need to attend higher education. So I just feel like I'm very much a mission oriented person. And if there's a mission that I can contribute, my mind, my energy, my efforts to, I feel like myself as well, because I feel like I have a greater purpose in this earth. And it's not that I'm so special, but it's that I feel most useful when I'm finding ways to use my talents or skills or whatever to help other people.
So when did you transition to the vegan lifestyle?
So transitioning to the vegan lifestyle was actually a gradual process for me. I watched the movie, I think it was Forks Over Knives, back in 2010, along with Food Inc. on Netflix. So I have a very like millennial story where I watched some documentaries on Netflix and then I was like, oh, light bulb moment. So after watching those movies, the focus for me really was about eating organic foods. And so I was also a recent college graduate. without employment because I graduated in 2009 from undergrad, right at the height of that economic downturn that started in 2008. So it was really hard for me to find my first like real job out of college. So I only had like $30 to $40 a week to spend on groceries. But it was really important for me to eat organic foods and non-processed foods. And so that meant that I couldn't afford to eat meat. So I was eating fruits and veggies, legumes. I was still eating some dairy and eggs here and there, but that was like more so like a special thing. So I started focusing my money on organic whole plant foods at the grocery store. So it was a gradual process for me. And I went through the various phases. I started working at a job in DC and I had to travel a lot. And, you know, there were periods of time where I'd be staying in a hotel for like a week. And pretty much the only food I had access to was room service. And, you know, side salads and French fries get old. So I was, you know, eating salmon here and there. But it was in February 2016 that I finally made the full-time commitment to go 100% vegan. And honestly, I feel like so many major transformations happen when you fully commit to something. Mm-hmm. Like for me, that was when I had my epiphany, like, you know what? I have all this information about how eating, you know, whole plant foods is better for your health and it's better for the environment. And it's cruel to animals when you eat animal products, you know? So I had all this information. I was like, I acknowledge that that's true. I acknowledge that that's true. But it was finally in 2016 when I was ready to take my acknowledgement of the truth to a different level and focus on how do I live my truth, right? Mm-hmm. How do I embrace my values?
You know what? I love hearing that because as it relates to a lot of people's transition, I mean, they didn't look at it as living their truth. They looked at it as, oh, I can lose weight. Oh, I can, you know, it's all just surface as opposed to focusing on your purpose and focusing on how you can actually impact people and others outside of just yourself. So I think that that's commendable. Now, I have to know, what was the biggest struggle in your transition?
When I went vegan in 2016, it was actually because, and this is why the moment of truth, I think, was something like, it was like a cumulative culminating moment for me. I got really sick. I had gone on a trip to see family and, you know, I was with family and I wasn't trying to be a bother. So like I was pretty much plant-based up until that point, you know, late 2015. And there were just some issues with me asking for plant-based options. So like I ate a Red Lobster. I was sick, you know what I mean? So I was just making bad choices. And by the time I got home from that trip, I was sick for 5 days. And I did not want to eat anything. So I fasted for 3 to 5 of those days. And then I started drinking water. And when I gradually started eating foods again, it was just vegetables. And then I added some fruit in. And then I added legumes in. And then I added in some grains. And so it was just this gradual process where it was just like, Jessica, you went on that trip and you did all the things that you already know better than to do. So I sat there sick, laid up, having this epiphany, like, you're not doing this anymore. You're not going to feel like this again. Like, you did this to yourself. It's not like you don't know what's happening to you. You know exactly what's happening to you. And so from 2016 on, it was pretty much easy. Like, you know, I was like, that's all it takes. You know, I don't have to go through the fire. You can just put me on the edge of the fire. I'll get the gist and walk back, you know?
Well, I want to know about the fasting process because you know what, you bring up a good point. There are a lot of people who have had situations where they have gone vegan, for example, and they've been in an environment where they don't have any access to healthy foods. So what was your process like? So a person who wants to actually fast and do a full cleanse, what did you do?
I was doing it all intuitively when I first did it. So part of the reason that it was so easy for me to fast when I was sick is because the taste of food literally, it was disgusting. You know what I mean? Like I was that sick that my body was literally telling me you don't need to be eating anything right now. And so it was staying super hydrated. I was drinking around 1 gallon of water a day. And that included like unsweetened herbal teas. So I'd be drinking like dandelion root tea or nettle tea or peppermint tea, you know, teas that were cleansing and healing teas, but no sweetener added. And then I did that for about, like I said, about 3 full days. And then on the evening of the 3rd day, I started to feel hungry again. And so I started off by, eating like steamed greens, because I was reading like, what do you eat after a fast? That's not too hard on your digestive system. And also, reading certain things about how like consuming sugar can depress your immune system for up to 4 hours when you eat it. And so I'm sure that natural sugars are healthier, but my body just wasn't responding well to any type of sugar at that point.
It sounds to me like you would create different ways, of course, to eat. You would listen to your body. And listening to your body, sometimes it inspires you to create different recipes and things of that nature. So I want to know, in looking at your website and looking at your Instagram, YouTube, you create amazing recipes. How do you do that? What inspires you?
Simplicity and adventure kind of inspire me at the same time. So like I mentioned, I love culture and travel and like global culture and stuff like that. So global food definitely inspires me when I'm creating new dishes, looking at, curries from India, or, stir fries from Asia, or, stews from North Africa and West Africa, South American and Central American bean dishes, and all the great vegetables and grains that they eat. So I'm definitely inspired by like different flavor combinations that you find globally. But I'm also inspired by affordable, simple shopping, right? So, I'm not on the same budget that I was when I first started eating more plant-based back in 2010 of like 30 to 40 a week, but I still try to be very mindful of what I'm spending, very mindful of my food consumption, making sure I'm not purchasing more than I need, so I'm not contributing to a whole bunch of food waste. And so I use very simple ingredients. My basic foods that I eat are the same as I was listing. I eat fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, legumes, and ancient grains primarily. And so those are the base ingredients of everything I make. But where it gets really interesting is by shopping in international aisles of the grocery store, looking at the sauces and the seasonings that they have there, and even venturing out to different global markets, and even going to natural grocery stores. Like I have a local co-op, and they have a bulk section that has like spices, and just going through the bulk section and the spices and thinking about like, okay, smoked paprika or baharat, or, different spices that I might hear about when I'm watching a cooking show or a travel show, and seeing if I can find them and figure out how to incorporate them into my food. So it's really about taking the simple foundation and then bringing it to life by exploring different techniques and flavors that you can find in global food.
Really random, you were talking about the fact that you have a co-op in your neighborhood, right? That's something a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
And my goal in life at this point is to put an end to food deserts. So I always want to ask people, what do you think that we can do as a community to put an end to food deserts?
It's difficult because food deserts are created by so many different factors. There are so many stakeholders that play a role in creating food deserts in our, in disenfranchised communities. So like, for example, Safeway is a grocery store that's out here, and they have it in their contract that when their store leaves a neighborhood or a certain location, no new grocery store can open in a certain vicinity for the next 15 years. So because your grocery store leaves, there's now no viable groceries to people in that community once your store leaves, like craziness like that. And so, even on policy level, like I don't claim to know a lot about like legislation and specific policies that are in place, but I know that, there are a lot of incentives to keep certain types of foods in our foodways, right? So like the fact that dairy milk is required as a part of school lunches, that makes no sense. Why is that required? Especially because it's expensive, and so much about how animal products are produced is wasteful. Not only is it wasteful, it's destructive, right? And not only is it destructive, it's expensive and dangerous. And so I think that as a whole in our society, there's this emphasis on money and the economy over the people, right? And so I think that community is the answer to a lot of those issues. So like, I've seen examples of where like community groups or churches do food distribution. And I think that that's a start. Food pantries is a begin to a start. But I think that empowering people with the resources that they need to figure out how to create food is one of the most important things you can do. So if you're in a neighborhood and there's land, like how can you turn that into community gardens? And then it's nice if you have a community garden, but then what do you want to do with that food? Education is key, because then you have to teach people a new way of, not only cultivating food, but then preparing that food so that it's nourishing and satisfying, right? So I think that it's a joint effort of a lot of people. You know what I mean? I think that there are so many roles that different people need to play in terms of fighting those legislative battles or those corporate battles to make sure that, in certain neighborhoods, certain sources of food are not blocked off from people who have knowledge of the land to educate people on how to grow in their own neighborhoods, and then people who know how to cook on a budget and understand the palates and preferences of the people in those communities, coming in and teaching them to say, this food can be just as satisfying, even more satisfying, and nourishing and energizing. It's going to make you feel good as opposed to exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the beginning is thinking about how can we create collectives and spaces where it's needed, and really doing that local work to, connect all the necessary stakeholders together to make it happen.
So in everything that you said, my biggest area of focus is education. I love that. And I think that a lot of people don't know that they live in a food desert because of the lack of education. So I know one thing, you're a director at the Afrovegan Society. Am I correct in that?
Mm-hmm.
And I know when it comes to the Afrovegan Society, they focused a lot on education. So talk to me about, for the people that don't know, what is the Afrovegan Society?
Certainly. So the Afrovegan Society is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to helping people, Black people, people of color, from disenfranchised communities who, have been disempowered, to take back control of their health and their communities through vegan living. And so our focus through 2020, throughout, the next 12 months, has really been on providing education, because we started off talking about at the beginning, like, we're living in the midst of the pandemic. And so virtual education has been the key to being able to contact our communities and reach them and figure out what they need from us, what information they're seeking. And so, I'm director of programming. And so I really think about what type of educational content and resources can be useful for people. And so we've hosted some amazing events so far. Back in June, we hosted the Dump Dairy Workshop Series. So it was 4 weeks with 4 education sessions from doctors, nutritionists, and wellness experts talking about the health benefits of eating plant-based and why eating dairy is so detrimental to our health and our environment. And then there were also 4 cooking demos from vegan chefs sharing how to make delicious dairy-free dishes. And so that was really fun, because just thinking about, like, me being a recipe developer and trying to be creative, but also use simple ingredients, I was able to take sweet potatoes and transform them into some delicious chocolatey desserts, like chocolatey fudge popsicles and chocolate cream pie and a chocolate custard, all with sweet potatoes. And so it was really, really fun for me to be like, okay, dairy free. It's not what you think. It's not just about finding a stand-in for milk, but here's how we can create, dishes that traditionally have a lot of dairy in them, and then just sidestep it all together. So yeah, that was really fun. And then at the end,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I need all of those recipes, all of them. Okay. I need to see all of those recipes because I'm hungry.
I'll definitely send you the links, but they're all live on the Afrovegan Society website. So I'm actually in the process of reworking the website to make it a little bit more user-friendly. Right now, we just have all of our recipes listed on one page, but I want to break it out so that people can really use it based off if you're looking for breakfast recipes, savory entrees or snacks or condiments like dips and sauces or desserts. So that's part of what's going on right now, focusing on that. And then as we get into the end of the year, we're really focusing on just providing lots of education around, recipes, because holidays are coming up. Cookout season is coming to a close. So I'm creating some delicious cookout recipes that we'll be sharing very soon. And just thinking about like celebrations, and celebrations are going to look different this year, I think, for a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't still recognize those moments and really enjoy the experience of preparing amazing food and, still finding ways to connect with each other.
Definitely. Everything that you talk about, whether again it's on your website, whether it's on Instagram or any other form of social media, you always have a way to educate. You're always trying to educate someone. You got a certificate from E. Cornell through T. Colin Campbell.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
So that experience was really amazing because it's all online learning. So I did it last March, and it was a 6-week program, and it was all online, and it was super robust. The pace was like quick. So like there were basically 3 courses. Each course was 2 weeks, and we covered like, the state of health in America, talking about like the chronic diseases that are prominent in this country and how most of them are diet related. And then it talked about basically the connections between the body's functions and food as nutrition, or food as a source or a trigger that activates disease in the body. And so it was really, really great because, I've been doing basically independent research this whole time, reading articles, watching videos, reading books. And there was so much robust information from so many experts, doctors, scientists who have done real research, or who could dig through the research and find the research that points to how veganism or plant-based diet, is helpful in preventing or treating disease. And so for me, it really drove home the fact that like, this is not just something that could help. Like the evidence is there, not only that this can help prevent disease and help make us healthier as a population, but this is how we were designed to eat. We were designed to eat plants.
Agreed. Yeah. What is next for you?
So what's next for me is, I'm a dreamer type of person. So I'm always seeing so many things as possibilities in the future. So I'm really trying to focus, and I want to relaunch my YouTube channel. I started creating videos in the spring again, and I had like a whole list of videos I wanted to do. But like now I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to start creating again. So you can expect to see a lot more recipes from me on my YouTube channel on a weekly basis starting in October, because I want to build up my catalog and start pushing those out. Global whole plant dishes that are simple to create and so delicious. And I want to start working on a cookbook. I want to spend the next year creating a cookbook of global vegan recipes that people can enjoy, that are nourishing and accessible for people. So that's my big plan for the next year. And then doing work with the Afrovegan Society and creating lots of cooking classes online with them, partnering with other influential Black vegans to help spread the message that, there's so much benefit to embracing vegan living, and creating programming and resources that are just going to help people along the way. So that's really what it's all about: vegan food and vegan education, and just, spreading this light as far as it will go.
Love it. Jessica, thank you for joining me today. I can't wait for us to hang out in person, child, because we're going to have to go to a restaurant and in the DMV. So the next time I'm in the DMV, I will make sure to hit you up, and we will go grab some food, child.
But I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, beautiful people. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Please follow Jessica Carter at Love Vegan Soul on all social media platforms. Visit drinkthehemp.com and use promo code VEGOUT for 5% off of your order and free shipping. Always make time to veg out live only on Veg Out and Dine.
Can we talk for a moment? Hoping you will let me in. Tell me all your little secrets. Promise it will stay within. See, I wanna get to know you. Tell me all your hopes and dreams. Follow me and I will show you life is better than it seems. Hello, hey.